Welcome to the Misophonia Podcast. This is episode 232. My name is Adil Ahmad, and I have misophonia. This week I'm talking to Emma, an artist from North London who was on a misophonia retreat at the time of this recording. We talk about her lifelong experience with misophonia and the process of finally confronting it after years of secrecy and shame. We get into her family relationships, autism and ADHD, childhood trauma, anger, self-compassion, reparenting, and how art has helped her make sense of her experiences. Please check the show notes for links to her incredible art. And after the show, let me know what you think. You can reach out to me by email at hello@misophoniapodcast.com or hit me up on Instagram or Facebook at Misophonia Podcast. And by the way, please do head over and if you can, leave a quick rating. Wherever you listen to the show, it really helps drive us up in those algorithms. And if you want to come on to the podcast, just go to misophoniapodcast.com and click the Be a Guest link. And by the way, the Misophonia Podcast app is available with all episodes, resources, and research. You can go to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, or try it on the web at app.misophoniapodcast.com. All right, here's my conversation with Emma. Emma, welcome to the podcast. Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Cool. So, I usually like to ask roughly kind of where people are located, a little bit about what they do.
Well, I'm actually in Wales right now, but I don't live in Wales. I'm here, let's call it a misophonia holiday, so that I can have a complete and utter break and be in complete control of my environment. I've not been here before, but it's very quiet and, well, except for the next door neighbors, but they are very quiet and it's just birds and nature sounds, and there's a little river trickling and I love the sound of water. So yeah, it's a misophonia break holiday. I live in North London.
That sounds amazing. Quite a contrast, North London to where you are now. How did you, just out of curiosity, how did you find this place? Was it like Airbnb or friends or?
Airbnb, and I just found it. And I knew I wanted to be near water. I knew I wanted to be very quiet. Other than that, it was on the blurb, it said there were dogs, and one of my noises, I'm not too bad with dogs, but I just don't like barking. If it was doesn't. And she's got 3 dogs, but they only bark if someone comes up, and that rarely has happened. So I actually go tomorrow. I've only been here since Monday.
Okay.
But it actually started off as a sort of a little break for me to focus on some reparenting inner child work, which is all kind of like actually turned into a massive sort of misophonia exploration, which I hadn't really counted on. So
yeah, no, I love that. I love getting into that stuff, that kind of like a personal archaeology that comes with that.
And it's been a long journey.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's great. Thanks for that context. Yeah. So obviously we'll have a lot to kind of go back. Maybe we can kind of go reverse maybe we could go reverse chronological. Like in North London, what's going to meet you back there when you go back? What's life like there?
I live with my husband. In August we celebrate 30 years of marriage. It is a bit of, considering I have misophonia, it's a miracle, I think, that we are still talking to each other. I've got at home 3 adultish children. So my daughter's 18 and my middle son is 21, and then I have a 24-year-old. But he's just got engaged and he's very likely to move out soon-ish. But it's a full house, and I'm an artist, and I've always been an artist. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And any of them have misophonia themselves, or is it?
I don't think on the same level, even at that age. I don't think on the same level. But this will come into my story. But my youngest, she has ADHD, and my eldest, he is autistic. I am both. So these are all quite recent diagnoses for all of us. And my daughter, she's definitely had to get permission to wear loops for like exams and classrooms. My son, he has sensitivities, but neither is any like extreme as me, even, yeah, as I said, when I was their age. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they wouldn't. My middle son has no neurodiver, he's neurotypical, as they say.
Right.
And my
Right.
husband is,
I
well,
sometimes call it zero divergent, but
and my husband, he definitely has quirks, but none like mine.
okay. Enough said. Yeah. So when did you sound like you're saying self-diagnoses or self in some cases self-diagnosis happened recently. Is that recent
Not
when you found out that there was a name? Kind of
Okay,
curious.
so I'll start from because actually misophonia was the first. I'm self-diagnosed as misophonic, but all the others I have a diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So misophonia began. I've always like felt different. I started getting misophonia symptoms when I was around, let's say 12, but like preteen, like typical. Um, and I kept it a massive secret. I'll just give you the backstory and then I'll go
Yeah.
into how it affects me, just like the skeleton of it.
Yep.
So I was not one of these misophones that shared my pain. So I kept it all hidden, like didn't say a word to nobody knew about it really until I became a proper adult. A huge embarrassment. And then I was talking, two things happened just before lockdown. My son came to me, my eldest son, saying, I think maybe mum, I'm autistic. I relate, there's a lot of the difficulty he has, I related to, but it wasn't answering these eating sound problems that I had. And I was speaking to somebody else, a friend who is self-diagnosed autistic, and I was saying, like, do you think I'm autistic? I've got these problems with these sounds, and they make me like my nervous system is on fire. It's a nightmare. I don't talk to anyone about it. She said, no, Emma, that is not autism. That's something else. So it'd been a long time since I'd kind of looked into what it could be. And I guess like research and internet had caught up with it all. And I just literally Googled something to do with that sound and misophonia came up. And I honestly thought I was the only person in the world that experienced it. It was massive, massive validation. And in that period, I did a little deep dive. That's when I made an artist book about misophonia. I sort of hooked up with a couple of people. I went to a disastrous misophone meetup in central London, which, I mean, it actually was quite funny because everyone was triggering each other. It was in the most noisiest, echoist environment. It was like
Who organized that? I'm
the
curious.
worst place you could possibly
Yeah.
have a misophonia meetup. I don't even remember. I saw it on the,
Okay.
but everything put me off, and I literally put it in the box. I did go to the GP. They offered me CBT. I was not interested because this has always felt so much bigger than anything that I thought a CBT therapist could do for me. So I compartmentalized it and gradually with time have started to use protection. So up to that point, I was not using any protection in my ears. It was horrendous. And that's when I kind of like, then COVID happened. My son, as I said, talked to me about autism. And then he then got a diagnosis. I was sort of invalidating. So there's a lot of invalidation that's been going on with me. And that also happened with autism, but I ended up getting a diagnosis for that. And then I ended up a year later getting a diagnosis of ADHD. So that's kind of like the bare bones of it all. But misophonia was the first thing I discovered about myself, but yet has been the last one that I've addressed. So since I've been doing massive deep dives into autism and ADHD so that I can finally start to like do some self-care and self-compassion. And then, and had no intention of addressing misophonia. I'd got it sussed in my head because I just wear loops all the time and my AirPods, you know. But I went away with my husband 2 weeks ago to Dartmoor, which is like lovely and quiet. It's in the countryside. And everything was fine. He knows we're in a like sort of bed and breakfast kind of hotel. And we were sitting, he knows I have difficulty eating with other people, particularly breakfast environments, because I'm not quite woken up and I'm still quite, you know, tense.
Oh, we know.
So we were sitting outside, but it was lovely. We've had a heat wave in the UK, so it was gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. We've heard about that too.
And it was the last day. It was the Friday morning, and we were drinking. The woman who, because I'm autistic, I'm not good at small talk. I'm not good at chatting. It's all very awkward for me, but I do it. I've learned to do it. But when you're then in a sort of misophone triggery environment, I become even more stressed about these things.
Yep.
I'm masking even more. It all becomes much more challenging. Anyway, she came along with our coffee and we're chatting about what we're doing and that day. And then I didn't have my loops in, which I normally wear because I can't hear properly when I have them in. And then it gets embarrassing because, and then I can kind of, my husband might give me an evil look like, oh, you're so embarrassing kind of thing. So I was trying to protect that. However, he then drank and made noises that just literally sent me into a massive misophonia attack. And it took us, we were driving home, it took me 3 hours of rumination in the car with me fuming. And it's funny because I've been listening to some of your podcasts, and I've been listening to Colleen, the therapist, trauma. What's her name?
Oh boy.
Based in Christina. I can't remember.
That's so many. Jillian? You're talking about Jillian?
No,
okay, yeah.
That one. Yeah. She works with victims of sexual abuse, and she had misophonia, and she sort of came IFS, and she sort of has pretty much rid herself of it. Anyway, I was listening to her, and she was talking about how when loved ones trigger us, we can be even more angry with them because they should know better. So it feels like even more of a hurt. And that's kind of what was happening for me. So I was furious with him. And then it wasn't until Sunday, so this was Friday, and it wasn't until Sunday where I could really kind of I moved out of the shame and the guilt, which I then suffer from after the attack and the embarrassment, and was able to sort of have it out with him. And then on the Thursday, I had therapy. And my therapist knows I have misophonia, but as I said, I've never addressed it because I just have always thought, well, what's there to say? You know, it's a horrible, horrible thing I have. No one can do anything about it. And it's it's black and dark, and I don't want to give it any more time than I have to. But I told her because we'd had this awful argument, and I've got so much anger in me that I've had for all these years. And I think I reached a point of shit, I've got to look at this. And I had listened to a podcast before we'd gone to Dartmoor, so before this attack had happened, where somebody had talked about, she's a psychologist sharing her book called Reparenting the Inner Child. And I had decided that I would have I tried doing it at home. I kept on getting interrupting. I was crying. I didn't want my kids to see me. I thought, this is big work. Because I have trouble concentrating anyway, I need quiet. So when I had that conversation with my therapist about the misophonia, I ended it and I said, maybe I should just book somewhere. And so I did, and I'm sitting here now. And then in that, because I started listening to your podcast after I decided to engage with it, because your podcast didn't exist when I got when I diagnosed myself. And I just couldn't believe that first of all I engaged with it, and then because I made an appointment and I cancelled it, I listened to a podcast and I can't, and I like, so I can't listen to this. And I messaged my best friend and I was like, no, this is a bad idea. I'm not engaging with this. And then I listened again to Jolene, the therapist. I think that's her name. And I got my husband to listen to it, and we talked about it. And first thing he said was, well, this is obviously to do with the trauma of your childhood. That's where misophonia began. And so when I sort of started saying about how everything is just falling into place and like this has become a misophonia holiday, it really has. Everything that I've been exploring in the book, it all comes down to misophonia.
It's fascinating. I mean, yeah, thanks for getting into that, and not just getting into some of these layers, which we're going to get into deeper, but also the timeline. I think a lot of us, it's heart. I don't know. I don't want to say heartening, but it's kind of refreshing to hear how long it takes sometimes to get over some of this stuff. And hours fuming, and then days to kind of like, fully have it out with somebody. This is a long process just from, one or two things, and because it's excavating things that you probably didn't think about going back to childhood.
Well, I'd known that I've got, I have very low self-esteem. I was bullied. I know all these things. I've been in therapy for a long time, but I've never really I've never joined the dots with misophonia. I think that's because there's so much gaslighting with it, and with all my conditions, because I also have a chronic health condition called ankylosing spondylitis. And it's like an arthritic, the best way to describe it, it's like arthritis in my sacroiliac joints. And I didn't get diagnosed for that for 8 years. So everything I've never had like anybody acknowledge or say, to just take whatever I'm experiencing seriously. And that all feeds into my experience as growing up in my family. So my brothers, so in these whole couple of years this has been going on, my dad became ill and died. And then I also found out in that period that my brothers both now have a diagnosis of ADHD. So I grew up in a household that was utterly like off the charts chaos, and no adults holding any space, and me just like not being looked after my base. Yes, I was fed. There was no worries about money, thankfully. But in terms of emotional, there was a lot of emotional neglect. And I'm sure now I've listened to a few of your podcasts. I can see that this is genuinely a theme.
Yes, that's one reason. One of the big reasons why I've been doing the podcast is I heard, inklings of some of these stories 6 years ago, and I decided we need to get these kinds of stories out there to reach people like you who haven't connected the dots yet. And so,
you're literally the first person I've spoken to about this. Like I don't speak to my best friend. I don't speak to anybody about it. It's like I just can't believe that I've been holding on to this since the age of, let's say, 12.
Yeah. Do you want to maybe describe a little bit about what the home was like? You kind of shed some light on it, but you had a couple siblings. What were your parents doing for a living? Like what was what happened when they came home from work? That kind of stuff.
I have also been thinking about epigenetics. Yeah. Because I'm Jewish, and obviously this past couple of years has been very traumatic for the Jewish community. So it's brought up a lot of trauma for me in that sense as well. But I'd already been thinking about sort of trauma for the Jewish community. But my dad grew up in the East End of London. He had been here. His family, his parents were first cousins. I think that's probably illegal now. And I'm
South Asian, so that happens all the time in our culture. So yeah,
I'm sure
I'm not married to my first cousin. I'll just put that on the record. But it's in the community.
there is a lot of autism in the Jewish community. Let's just put that
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, sorry, my mind can go all
Yeah,
over the
sorry.
place. So
Same here.
yeah, so my dad, they grew up in the East End, huge poverty. So he was a very driven man, and he was a businessman. And by the time, so just before I was born, they'd lost everything, living out of a car, and really, really bad way. So when my mum was pregnant, would have been a lot of stress. And before that, she's got two boys, both under the age of 5, both with undiagnosed ADHD. My dad is working all hours that he can send. I think my mum is autistic. I question whether my dad has had ADHD. Obviously, you can't diagnose someone when they've passed away, but it would answer some of his behavior. I also wonder if he had misophonia, because he would be in the worst temper
Mm.
at mealtimes. Mealtimes were
Mm.
very, very stressful. Lots of fist thumping. He
Wow.
hated it when I coughed. It's the only time he was horrible to me, was when I coughed. My mum just wanted, so her mum was definitely depressed, and very non-motherly. And so
Mm.
my mum just wanted to build a home. I think she had a very kind of naive idea about what being a homemaker was. And the reality was she, had these two crazy, crazy behaved boys. And then me, and delighted with me because I was a girl, and I would be, she treated me a bit like a doll. And someone to dress, and have a little
Oh.
shadow. But once I am not like that. And once I started to get older and I asserted myself, she did not like it. um
Oh.
and my dad was, I come from a very traditional conservative Jewish family. So I was brought up to be like, I was going to be a secretary, and then I was going to, so my dad started to become successful, and he would talk about sending me off to finishing school, which is hilarious, if you knew me. And we were all sent off to boarding school eventually, but I was actually expelled from there after only a year. But things like at home, my middle brother bullied me badly. My parents would go out, they'd leave my brother. I don't know if there was a babysitter, but I'd be left with them, and they'd tie me up in a chair. um, I was
Okay.
just completely ignored. I was constantly told that I was just, moody, typical stuff, how you describe a
Yep.
girl who's not happy, crying in my room. I just was expected to be a good little girl. And the anger, I think, is just the layers of anger from having to repress all this constant, never being able to like stick up for myself. I would go to my mum, tell her that my brother was bullying me. She would just dismiss it. I had no adult. I had 4 grandparents till the age of 18, but they didn't look after me. Like no one looked out for me.
What about friends, teachers, school? How was that a different? No. Wow. Okay.
No,
Mm.
nothing. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't want to start crying, because this is why I don't go to it, because
Yeah.
it's very, very painful.
Yep.
But it makes sense, right? It makes sense that the nervous
Yes.
system would get so activated. It doesn't make sense that it's like eating noises and mouth noises, but that's completely weird. But it makes sense that, our body feels under attack. It's a
Right.
survival mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah. I've thought about the. Yeah. I don't. There's many ways we can go there. First of all, yeah.
And so my mum's background, my dad, my grandpa, they were fleeing the pogroms in Russia, and my grandma, they were fleeing the pogroms in Poland. So, think about
Oh
intergenerational
yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. 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 I've thought about that too. And epigenetics has come on the podcast as well. And I've thought about communities that have dealt with a lot of that kind of trauma. And you mentioned that there's a lot of autism in the Jewish community. I've thought about like other things. Maybe they're undiagnosed, but misophonia. Do you hear about that?
I don't know anyone
It
with
doesn't sound like it because you haven't talked to anybody.
No, I really,
Right.
honestly, I don't know anybody. I don't know any.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think of misophonia now as kind of it's kind of a, I don't want to say misfiring, but it's a rational response of the body looking for dangers in the modern world, and maybe it's somehow assigned it to obviously a chaotic environment, and it's just trying to, I don't know, wake up this child that doesn't necessarily hasn't been, you know, is kind of left alone, and obviously hasn't learned about psychology and science and whatnot, and the body needs to warn us somehow that something is off.
I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
the fact that it's, when you start to analyze the noises, it doesn't make sense. That's
Right.
the bit where it's like, what? I mean, it does make sense in that, I've got like a very clear memories. I didn't have misophonia then, but like of those meal times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how old I was. I must have been about 6. So I don't know. I don't know. You try and make sense of this condition, and it's just nonsense, right? It's
Yeah. Well, when did you start feeling the actual fight or flight at the dinner table? Was that around 12?
yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a very clear memory of being at my dad's brother around. So we would do Shabbat dinners every week, and we were there for a Shabbat dinner, and he. I'm actually not going to say things because I don't want to. I was listening to one of your podcasts and I got a bit triggered, so I'm just actually.
Yeah.
He was making a noise, and it is my worst noise now, although I don't hear it very often, thankfully. But my dad, he also did the same noise, and there were plenty of people that did that noise. But I would say then, and I must have been about 12, and then just sitting there. And I was not one of those kids that shouted at everybody, put their hands over this. I mean, I think I've realized, everything I'm saying to you now, I've only kind of realized in the past couple of days. It is that fresh, and I'm shocked at how little I've actually given any thought to this. That's how much I hate having the condition. But I realized that, oh God, I completely forgot what I was going to say.
No, it's all right.
Can you remember what I was saying?
I probably have undiagnosed ADHD, so I don't remember. Well, I mean, we were talking about. The last question I'd asked was like when you first felt the fight or flight, and then we were talking about your uncle, I think, triggering you.
Oh, that's right. I realized the past couple of days that I hadn't even given any thought to the 2 words fight and flight. I always actually kept on saying fright and flight. But I realized that it never occurred to me I could fly. I've been stuck in fight. So I am deeply embedded in fight, and I completely, as you know, lose all cognitive function. So it never occurs to me to leave, which is why I'm completely committed to wearing loops, because then. And that's why also the incident with my husband was so difficult, was because I was relaxed. I wasn't ready for danger. I wish I had more humor when it came to misophonia, because actually it's quite funny.
Yeah. No, and it is in many occasions a coping mechanism that a lot of people mention on the podcast. And so
laughing.
Yeah.
I wish I had more of that.
Yeah, like you've only been starting to really process in the last couple of days. The humor will come. Jane Gregory, who's in the UK, she does stand up comedy. She's at Oxford as a clinician, and I helped her write a book on misophonia. But she's also a stand up comedian. Yeah,
I've got it at home waiting for me. I didn't want to be here because I thought I've got to focus on the inner child.
Yeah. It's a little bit more on this. I'll say it's a well-rounded book. A little bit more on the CBT. I mean, she's a CBT clinician,
Mm.
but it's got it's got something for everyone.
I'm ready.
um,
I'm so ready now.
yeah. Well, let's talk. I mean, let's talk about this week and the reparenting. I mean, this is a topic that I think about a lot, and it's interesting. Like you, I'm always putting these kinds of analyses off because I feel like I need space, I need time, I need to not think about work and things
Yeah,
like that.
it's a lot.
You've taken the leap. I mean, this is brilliant
Well,
in a way.
yeah, I've taken the leap. I was not expecting the leap to involve misophonia.
Gotcha. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I took when I bought the book that I've been doing,
Hmm.
it was, which is probably a blessing in disguise because if I had, I wouldn't have done it. I mean,
Hmm.
the resistance to misophonia is enormous. I'm a
Yeah.
very open person. All my artwork is about, and now my artwork makes so much more sense. So I'm constantly, my artwork is all about rage. And then actually, I made in lockdown. So my husband's a hospital doctor, and his hospital were they were in London, the first hospital to get COVID cases. And he's a doctor, but he's also a manager, and his role was overseeing A&E, accident and emergency, and so like to say that it was a very stressful period, and I had
Yeah.
my three kids at home. My two eldest were taking A levels and GCSEs. My youngest had just started secondary school, and I was at home, misophonia, finding out I had autism. I mean, it was just a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, I made this dress, which I only now realize. So I called the flying dress, and it was so you put this dress on, and you literally just fly away. But yeah, so much of my work is about rage. So I just I had been addressing it, but just not in a
Yeah.
I'm a very self-aware person. I've done a lot of work on myself, but this is like being a no-go area.
Yeah. So Miss Wayne, just suppress it. Don't talk about it at all. Yeah, that's something I think a lot of us can relate to. Um,
Just
and could you talk a little bit about yeah, I mean, rage is such a taboo topic.
I know,
With
well, maybe just for women, let's say women in general.
especially women. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
absolutely.
I have a lot of it. And I would say if there's like something I need help with, I need help with a lot of stuff with this, but it's definitely my relationship. I would like to hear more conversations about relationships because that's suffered the most and
Hmm.
causes me the most distress.
Hmm.
Because I am just horrible to my husband's called Morris. I'm horrible to him. And he becomes very defensive. So I don't in return get the compassion which I feel I deserve because I'm living and can't escape from this awful, awful disorder that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemies. Um, so yeah, he has a real problem with my rage. I mean, like who wouldn't?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I mean, I'm not like um, I hardly get attacked now because I'm constantly wearing loops or I wear AirPods, but I get so it's very upsetting. I can't sit and just enjoy a meal with my kids and my husband and um I just often feel so left out. Must be what it's like when you can't hear. They say how lonely you get when
Hmm.
you're hard of hearing. Um and if there's a lot, I'm okay if there's like two people, but if they were around a table, I can't really follow the conversation and I have to do that embarrassing thing. And then everyone kind of like either gets irritated with me or laughs at me. And also, I've got ADHD, I've got terrible RSD, rejection sensitivity disorder. I'm very, very, very sensitive to criticism. I'm a very, very sensitive person. And so I'm just constantly battling with thinking that I'm a burden and that I suck the joy out of everything. And then also, like, in terms of, if you live with somebody and you've got their family, it's like I've got to the point now where I can't do it anymore. I've like literally reached my limit in terms of any family social events. I just haven't been going. Um, and I don't know how to communicate to Morris's family. Um, we don't really see my family very much, but his family are, they like, and it's all around food because, we're Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Jews love food.
Mm-hmm.
That's always the focus, and they're really loud. And yeah, I don't know if it's my age. I'll be 54 next week. So obviously menopausal. But I just feel like I can't do it anymore. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't, but I feel I need the skills to know how to communicate my needs and also what this condition is, because I feel responsible that they take it personally. People
Yeah.
take it so personally.
Yeah. I I know a lot of others can relate. I mean, one thing I don't know if it, but you probably figured it out too. One thing that's helping me is just reconnecting with art. For me, it happens to be music and sound, and this goes back to childhood too. And it actually, I think, relates to. It's a long story, but relates to the whole misophonia and childhood stuff. But I think reconnecting to that, I can now go to some of these events and just, if I need to, just be lost in thought and think about those personal projects.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
don't know.
mean, I'm very fortunate that, I have because of my back condition and because of
Hmm.
I need to exercise basically for my condition. I swim. I'm a big swimmer. So, and we live near woods in London. I walk every day in the woods. So I have a very quiet life now. Uh,
Yeah.
but I still feel that there's a lot of mess because there are a lot of people, they know I'm autistic. And what's funny is that people say that having ADHD seems more socially acceptable than being autistic. And it feels like, well, being autistic is so much more acceptable than having misophonia. So
Oh
people
yeah.
know I'm autistic, but it doesn't quite, they see other people who are autistic and who are out there socializing, but it's not. The truth is, it's the misophonia.
Hmm.
And I just don't know how to explain that.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. It's yeah. It's a conundrum. I mean, people are trying to raise awareness, but I mean, it's going to take decades. I think. I mean, you can raise awareness, but it's not. It's it's not. People don't process it in a way that makes sense to them.
if you've got
Um,
any therapists or any listeners who have got some advice for me, I'd be very happy to get it because yeah,
yeah. I mean, part of it is. I mean, part of it, I guess, is one thing could be humor. Another thing is, just trying to explain to people that it's, yeah, it's nothing personal. I think that's one of the first things that leads to downward spiral is the whole, if you can get in front of the defensiveness, that can kind of like calm the situation. Because I think for the defensiveness is looks like somebody's almost going to attack you. Like it just adds to the danger. And
yeah,
if you can just kind of
it makes
reduce
me
the danger.
very, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm already being under attack from
Right.
this, these noises. And so I don't know, I'm in such a place of like feeling sorry for myself for having this condition, which I don't like feeling, but I do. That all I want is just compassion from people. And it's such a difficult disorder to give compassion to.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, you asked about the reparenting. Do you want to?
That's what I want to get into a little bit. Yeah, what the process has been like. Yeah.
It's been hard, actually. I'm so detached from. I've had to go back to like memories of childhood, which I don't have many of. And I'm kind of now towards the end of the book, and it's all about kind of bringing in the reparenting. And the reparenting, so there's a lot of exercises now to do. But I've been keeping a journal, writing down everything. And this is obviously, it's not just coming here, reading the book, and then I'm better. This is like,
It's
you know,
work. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ever going to be recovered. Um, I've like been so since I got my autism diagnosis, I've been all about self-compassion, um, and validating myself. But I feel like this is helping it go deeper. Like I feel I now need to really accept my childhood before I can move on. Um, and I think for that to happen, I really need to step into the pain of it. I'm actually my plan now is to look into perhaps getting some EDMR,
EMDR,
EMDR,
yeah.
um, not MDR, what is it? The drug.
Not MDMA and not IDM, intelligent dance music.
No, so I mean, I was thinking about doing that anyway, but also, since listening to your podcast, I've brain tapping, no, mapping, no, brain spotting.
Yeah, brain spotting. Yeah, maybe you've been thinking about Cresta. Cresta might
Yes,
be the
Cresta,
person
that's
that.
too.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
Cresta.
Cresta Dalrymple. Yeah.
Yes, so I've been thinking about doing that. I've also been thinking about somatic work. Um, just quickly, because I've remembered it, I don't want to go on a tangent, but just back to anger. So I've got this health condition, which, I don't know if you know anybody with a health condition, but, anger is a thing. Being in pain makes you angry, makes you very frustrated and very angry. So I've got double whammy. So yeah, I thought somatic work would be a good direction for me. Obviously, I have my therapist. We're on a little break for the summer now, so I won't see her for 4 weeks. Probably a good thing, actually, because then I can just carry on with the workbook. And just continue doing the exercises. I haven't been able to work in my studio because it's been so hot in there, but I think I'll just try and gently carry on and slowly, maybe
Yeah.
by the age of, I'll be 54 next week, maybe by the age of 60, I might have made some headway.
Happy early birthday! I'm turning 50 tomorrow, so
Oh my God.
we're kind of around the
So
same.
you're a Cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know anything about it. I sounded like I did. I'm on the cusp. I am.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm Leo Cancer.
Yeah. I mean, I think it maps to, well, at least what I've read about it. I'm not a big reader of that stuff, but it seems to map to what how people might describe me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, an anomaly.
Yeah. And so the workbook. So I don't know, a couple maybe examples of some of the things that it's asking you to do. Is it? I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and I'm sure people listening are curious.
Well, I've heard you talk about inner child.
Yeah.
So, okay. What I'll do, maybe I've got very bad memory, so I'm just going to go and I actually started the book a few weeks ago, so I can't really remember. So I'm just going to read to you the contents.
Yeah. Oh, perfect.
So part 1, your inner child, and it's beyond attachment style, your origin story. And then part 2, the impact of your environment, the truth about stress, the traces of your ancestors, the culture that shaped you. Part 3, the scars we carry, your wounded inner child, the shadow of shame. And I'm now on part 4, which is reparenting and integration, the total healing tool. So today I did I've got a lot of resistance to body work. I did a very short amount of body work, where I was just sort of like activating, my skin and doing some breathing, that kind of thing. I imagine that's what you do a lot in somatic work. I don't know. And becoming whole and building resilience. So the reason I bought this book in particular, because I'm not a big self-help book person. Even though I like to read about like autism and ADHD, I'm not great at I'm just not a good self-help. But I like this one because it's reparenting. I like the idea of not sort of like, hold your inner child, what would you say to your child? What would you write a letter to your inner child? I don't feel that is deep enough. For me, it felt like I've got to learn. No one else is going to do it. So in terms of like, give me the validation, that's gone now. That time is gone. And so I need to accept that, and I need to start to learn to do it myself. and to start acting like a grown up in my mind and look after myself. And I was thinking about this. I actually wrote down what I think I would have needed had I been diagnosed, or my parents, we'd gone to a therapist, and because I had misophonia, I told them about it, and the therapist had talked to them and helped them, know how to help me. Like, how would that have looked? And like applying that now to myself. So what parenting do I need to give myself in order to like treating misophonia in myself?
Fascinating. So the reparenting, and for people listening, sometimes you might think of reparenting as going back to old memories, or just trying to. Yeah, I don't. Well, you mean there is some of that too,
Yeah.
but it's also like to what you said earlier. It's in real time, in the day to day,
Yes.
learning to take care of yourself and
Yes.
give and learning how to attend to your own needs, because you obviously you were not taught that growing up.
No, I mean, there's so much I wasn't taught. I'm just seeing where the workbook is. Oh, it's just there. I'll open it up and just see my journal I've been writing in, just so I can.
You don't have to read your whole journal. You don't have to read. You don't have to tell us your personal.
No, I'm not going to. I overshare, so I have to remember not to do that.
I'm welcome to it, but yeah,
I have to remember that there's not just you listening to this.
Yeah, right.
So, reparenting is rewiring. Acceptance of the past means making space for the truth of what hurt and what was missing. Instead of arguing with the inner critic, begin to notice it and practice redirecting your attention towards a kinder response to yourself. Practice naming emotions, so validation. Then I've written down about the things that give me pleasure. So I wrote a pleasure list. And then accepting or realizing, so this is where the body work came in, where I was giving, stroking myself, or, I was massaging my head, realizing that it's okay for me to feel pleasure, and pleasure is good. So recognizing things that make me feel safe. And I mean, a lot of it I already do, because I've already done that work. And I think that she's also coming from a place where somebody's like not looking after themselves at all, but I do, because I started to do that after the autism diagnosis. So glimmers, which so this is like, I'm just going to throw things out. Called them glimmers, signs of safety. So I had to go through things that I use or notice that help me feel safe. And then I went a little bit into shame and the inner critic. I think I had to write a letter to my inner critic. And then it was like, I remember now, I had to go through the belief system of my family, what I grew up with, or how, if I went to them upset, how was that dealt with? And, what kind of what kind of parenting did I experience? Was I criticized a lot? Were my feelings just ignored? So it's gone into all of that. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So it's an intense couple of days. But it's been hard. I've had to really push myself to do it. It's not easy.
And I whatever gains are made, they're not going to happen overnight when you go back to London. This is going to be a process. But I feel like, compared to a lot of the modern symptom-based, manualized approaches that we have to conditions, to mental health conditions, I think the path you're going is the right one.
It feels right. It does feel right. And I feel like, because the other thing, what's the name of the therapist?
Cresta.
Yeah. So the other thing, I just listened to the last one she did on HSP. And she said that, you need to put in the kind of stepping stones. And like, I think it says a lot that misophonia has been the last one that I've been able to address. And all this work, this has been work that I've been doing since that very first conversation with that friend where I said, you know, do you think I'm autistic? And she said, no, Emma, I think that's something else. So what was that? I mean, you know, when was lockdown? I always forget. 2019. So that was
2020. Yeah.
yeah, it was probably like 2018 that I had that conversation. So that's a long time. And so, and then also like she read out in the podcast, you know, all the things that Dr. Aaron suggests that we have to do, and one of them is like know yourself. And so that's what I feel like I'm doing. I'm finally knowing myself.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if because you hadn't mentioned HSP earlier, but obviously it's in the same.
Yeah, and you know, I thought so that was before the autism. So it went misophonia. Oh, I've got misophonia. And then I heard about HSP. Oh, I've got HSP. Because my mum would say to me all the time, Em, you're so sensitive. It was like a real slur. No, not so sensitive, too sensitive. And then I realized that I'm autistic. And it was whatever that journey happened. And then it was in my diagnosis with autism. The psychologist said, have you thought about whether you got ADHD? So then I went down that path. So I don't think I could do the misophonia work without, I mean, I even had to buy this Reparenting the Inner Child before I could face the misophonia work.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Yeah, like I said, I think this feels like the right path for you, not for just for you, for many folks listening. So I hope to maybe, like Chris, to have you back on the podcast at some point, or at least just kind of like hear how things are going. Because I don't want to say excited, but I'm hopeful.
I feel like I've finally ousted myself. I've come out of the closet. I've like redone my in my website. I've kind of done a properly honest account now about my work, where I've included misophonia in that, because I've done a lot of kind of paintings of monsters, and I now know it's to do with, you know, I see myself as I become a monster. You just kind of like you've used Incredible Hulk, right? But I've also heard
Jekyll and Hyde, Incredible Hulk, all that.
Yeah. So, you know, I really relate to that.
Yeah. No, it's great. Now I'm going to have links to all that, and anything else that may come up between now and when this episode goes live.
Thanks so much for doing this, because, you know, for someone that's lived with this disorder for so long in you know, complete privacy. I don't even know if that's not the right word, but shame. It's, you know, it's really valuable work.
No, I appreciate that, and I know that this conversation is going to help a lot of people listening as well. So it's a gift that'll keep on giving. So I appreciate you coming on and you know, sharing a lot of this very personal stuff, especially someone who's kind of recently started to work on this. We're getting close to about an hour. I mean, is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I don't think so. I'm feeling quite.
You said a lot. Yeah, you said a lot.
My brain has gone into I can't get the words out mode.
Yeah, I totally understand. And let's leave it at that. And thanks again, Emma, for coming on.
I'll send you the links to the painting I made today and to my website, and you can have
beautiful.
A look. If you go on to, if anyone wants to have a look at my misophonia book I made, it's in the artist book section of my website. And it's
since we're talking about it, is it emmafrank.com or
it's an S on the end, emmafranks.co.uk.
Okay, yeah. I'll have that obviously linked in that show notes and all that.
It might be Emma Frank's artist. I can't remember.
We will figure it out by the time this goes live. So don't go by what we were talking about right now. Okay, great.
Thanks so much. It's really good to meet you.
Thanks again, Emma. Wish you the best heading back home to London. And yeah, look forward to keeping in touch and seeing the progress you make. If you like this episode, don't forget to leave a quick rating or review wherever you listen to the show. You can hit me up by email at hello@misophoniapodcast.com or go to the website misophoniapodcast.com. It's even easier to just send a message on Instagram at misophoniapodcast. You can follow there or Facebook. And on Twitter, it's Misophonia Show. The music, as always, is by Moby. And until next week, wishing you peace and quiet.